What is going on, my Masketeers? Welcome back to another episode, and we are here to talk about Amazon's Rings of Power episode 3. A lot happened in this episode, and again, because we follow multiple characters' viewpoints, we're kind of hopping all over Middle-earth, essentially. So, you've got Galadriel, and she is with Halbrand. They basically get rescued, and they get taken to a mystical city. It's not really a mystical city because it is filled with humans. They were the humans that supposedly didn't side with the bad guys. So because of that, they were granted this paradise in this island. But for some reason, they fought with the elves. That's what got them the island. But at some point, they stopped welcoming the elves. And so contact with the elvish folk has been non-existent maybe for the past 200 or so years. And it's never really explained why that's happened. She wants to leave and return back to Middle-earth because, again, she has her mission and she wants to find out where and what Sharon is planning. So they are saying that potentially they might not let her leave. And because of that, that's kind of causing a lot of static between the queen, the current queen, and Galadriel. Now, Halbrand, he's just like, listen, I've worked my whole life to get to a place like this where there's just peace. I'm cool just to stay here and I'm not trying to leave. So you do whatever you need to do, but please don't make no trouble for me because I've found my happy ever after. We basically we jump back to the freaking half folk. So they're Nori and Poppy, who are still looking after the stranger, trying to discover how they can help him. In the previous episode, he's looking for a particular set of stars. And so now they're thinking to themselves, like, if they can steal the Elder's book, because he records the constellations a lot, if they can steal his book, they might be able to find the stars which the stranger showed them. And so Nori's dad's leg is broken, but they're gonna migrate soon. But the problem is, if they can't keep up during the migration, they're gonna get left behind. So it's something that Nori has to consider moving forward. We have Arendir, the black elf. He's been captured by orcs and he's been put on a chain gang, basically. They got this poor black man working like a slave. The irony. We then come to realize that his whole platoon of elves got captured. How they got captured, I don't know. Where they got captured, I don't know. But all of the platoon that he was previously with has been captured. They find out that these orcs have been digging tunnels throughout the area. And that's how they've been sneaking and killing a lot of villagers. But then also as well, it's brought to our attention, I don't know if this has always been the case, but the orcs are allergic to sunlight. I don't remember the orcs being allergic to sunlight in the Lord of the Rings movies, but again, this might be a particular breed of orcs that don't like sunlight, but for whatever reason, yeah, they can't deal with sunlight, and that's the reason why they constantly keep on going through the tunnels instead, because that's how they avoid direct sunlight. There's a leader which they only mentioned by name. Even the other elves were thinking to themselves, the way they revere this guy, it's as if he's not an orc, like he's something more than that. So that's something which, again, is playing throughout the episode, and there's so much happening in regards to the different pieces that are moving. Now, let's get into the good. The good of the episode for me, again, this show looks amazing. And that's the thing, this is high fantasy at its finest, especially for a TV show. This is movie level quality. I have to remind myself constantly that I'm watching a show and not a movie. That's just how good it looked. From the effect to the cinematography to just the overall feel and vibe, this is a movie. And because of that, everything just flows so well and everyone inhabits the world fully. It looks like a massive fantasy. So the world building, even though I feel like sometimes it's a bit, I don't know, I feel like they throw you in too much to the point of where they don't really give you enough explanation. They just expect you to know. Lord of the Rings is a very complex world. So again, visually, it looks amazing, which I'm always impressed by. Let's get into the bad. The bad, I feel this story is very slow paced, and not even in slow paced, but you know that something exciting is coming. I mean, like, slow paced, you know what's coming, but it doesn't feel anything is really happening. All the pieces will eventually come together and you can see the pieces, but I just feel you don't really learn that much about the characters specifically. And I think that's what the problem is. You don't know their motivations. You don't know the thing that drives them. You don't have a personal connection with them. They just feel like characters who are going through the motions. And so when you watch the show, you just keep on wondering to yourself, okay, when's it really going to kick off? When is it going to become cool? When is it going to become good? Because there's always that feeling of this is taking very long because these are hour plus episodes. episodes, and I feel like nothing is being gained here. I get some new information at what cost? And can I just say this? This is not even bad, yeah, but this is just something which is super weird. It tied into when I talked about how amazing visually this thing is. There's a scene where Galadriel is like riding on a horse on the beach, and then they hit you with the slow motion. And the slow motion part, it felt so epic. Then they showed Galadriel's face. No. I'm sorry, no. Her face was terrible. That thing scared me. She had, I don't even know if you couldn't call it a smile. She had an expression which looked like she's about to go eat somebody's children whole. But then they zoomed in, and it was even worse zoomed in. And I was just thinking to myself, who saw this, approved it, and didn't get brought up at all to say, are we looking at the same thing? Because this shot is a very disturbing shot. So yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but honestly, if you watch the show and when that part comes up, I guarantee you, if you see it, you'll be thinking to yourself, no, she is definitely a little bit weird. So with that being said, my verdict, I will give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a good enough episode. Me personally, because I am not a massive Lord of the Rings fan, I don't know the story well enough. I'm literally just going off what I watched in the Peter Jackson movies. So when they come and they say that, oh, certain things aren't right and this is not it, because again, they come from the point of view, they've read the books, they've read the Silver Meridian, which is meant to be where this is based off, but then you find out it's not actually based off this because they couldn't get the rights to it. But because of that, those people come with the understanding of how they have changed the law and messed up some key things. So it's hard for them to kind of get involved in the show. Whereas for me, because I don't have any of that attachment, I'm literally just watching it as somebody who's seen it for the first time with no reference point. And so for me, I can definitely appreciate it more from that standpoint. The only thing which I will say is the fact of it's a bit too slow for me, and I feel they need to pick up the pace. But that's it. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of the show, if you're watching it and if you're not. Like always, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you guys at the next masquerade. Peace.